August 19th, 1943, 22,000 feet above Vornstrecht, the Netherlands. Hauptmann Egon Meyer couldn't suppress his grin. Through the canopy of his Messerschmitt Bf 109G6, he watched a bizarre twin-engine silhouette climbing laboriously toward his staffel. "The Americans have sent us trucks with wings," the ace transmitted to his wingman. Egon Meyer, credited with 102 victories in Jagdgeschwader II, laughed at the ungainly Lockheed P-38 Lightning struggling for altitude over the Low Countries. Below them, 12 P-38F Lightnings of the 1st Fighter Group lumbered upward in loose formation. Their twin Allison V-1710 engines strained against unprecedented weight. To German pilots accustomed to sleek single-engine fighters, these twin-boom machines appeared almost absurd. Two fuselages connected by a wing, a cockpit nacelle hanging in the middle like a gondola, twin rudders that looked unfinished. What Meyer didn't know, what none of the German pilots circling above could have imagined, was profound. They were witnessing the arrival of a weapon that would systematically destroy the Luftwaffe's most experienced pilots. Within 18 months, these flying trucks would transform from objects of derision into instruments of terror. Their concentrated nose-mounted guns would become the most feared weapon configuration in German skies. The mathematics of destruction were already loaded in that central nacelle. 120mm Hispano cannon and 4.50 caliber Browning machine guns, all firing through the propeller arc, all converging on a single point. No synchronization issues, no spread pattern, just pure concentrated firepower that could saw a Messerschmitt in half in less than 3 seconds. The Lockheed P-38 Lightning emerged from a February 1937 specification. War clouds gathered over Europe. The US Army Air Corps issued requirements that seemed impossible. An interceptor capable of 360 miles per hour at 20,000 feet, a climb rate of 20,000 feet in 6 minutes, a range exceeding 1,000 miles. What Lockheed's Clarence Kelly Johnson designed was revolutionary. The XP-38 prototype first flew on January 27, 1939. It shocked everyone who saw it. At 11,000 pounds empty, it weighed nearly double contemporary single-engine fighters. The twin-boom configuration gave it an appearance unlike anything flying. Its central nacelle housed the pilot and armament. The twin-boom layout solved a fundamental problem: mounting heavy armament. By placing all weapons in the nose, firing forward without synchronization, the P-38 could deliver concentrated firepower. Everything converged at a single point. Unlike wing-mounted guns that created a spread pattern, the Lightning's weapons created a stream of destruction. That stream remained concentrated at all ranges. Lieutenant Ben Kelsey, the Army test pilot who flew the prototype cross-country in February 1939, watched the airspeed indicator touch 420 miles per hour in level flight. The twin supercharged Allison engines delivered astounding performance. Each produced 1,150 horsepower. Together they pushed this large aircraft faster than seemed possible. The transcontinental speed record attempt ended in a crash landing at Mitchell Field. But the point was made. The Lightning was fast. Training accidents plagued early units. The P-38 counter-rotated on takeoff, requiring constant rudder correction. The turbo superchargers were temperamental. The twin-engine configuration meant double the mechanical complexity. Between 1942 and 1943, training accidents killed more P-38 pilots than combat would in the first months. But those who mastered it discovered something extraordinary. The power was intoxicating, the visibility was unmatched, the controls were precise. It was a pilot's aircraft, wrapped in armor, armed with concentrated destruction. The event that would transform perceptions occurred on April 18, 1943, Operation Vengeance. It involved 18 P-38G Lightnings from the 339th Fighter Squadron, the most important interception mission of the Pacific War. Admiral Yamamoto, architect of Pearl Harbor and Japan's most brilliant naval strategist, was flying from Rabaul to Bougainville. He traveled in a Mitsubishi G4M bomber. American intelligence had broken Japanese codes. They knew his exact flight path. They knew his timing. They knew his escort details. The mission: intercept and destroy Yamamoto's aircraft 435 miles from base. This was at the extreme limit of any fighter's range. Only one American fighter could make the journey: the P-38 Lightning, Captain Thomas Lanphier and First Lieutenant Rex Barber led the intercept flight. 16 additional P-38s provided top cover. They flew at wave-top height to avoid radar detection. Navigation was by dead reckoning across empty ocean. The 1,000-mile round trip required external drop tanks and precise fuel management. Any combat would be brief. There was barely enough fuel to reach the intercept point and return. At precisely 9:34 a.m., the formation spotted two G-4M bombers. 6 Mitsubishi A-6M0 fighters flew escort. The Americans jettisoned their external tanks and went to full power. The twin Allison engines screamed as the Lightnings accelerated to attack speed. Lanphier engaged the Zero escorts, drawing them away in a climbing turn. Barber dove on the bombers. He opened fire from close range with his concentrated nose armament. His guns delivered everything through a single point: 120mm cannon, 4.50 caliber machine guns, all converging. Barber's combat report was clinical. Fired 3-second burst. Observed strikes along right wing root and fuselage. Right engine burst into flames. Aircraft rolled right and impacted jungle canopy at high speed. Admiral Yamamoto died in the crash. His death was a devastating blow to Japanese morale and strategy, but the implications went far beyond losing one man. The P-38 had demonstrated range no other fighter could match. It had fought through escort fighters. It had destroyed its target 435 miles from base. Japanese intelligence analyzed the mission. They realized something terrifying. American fighters could now reach anywhere in the Pacific. No target was safe. No flight path was secure. The P-38's range had fundamentally changed the rules. By mid-1943, P-38 pilots were learning to exploit their aircraft's true strengths. Major Thomas Maguire would become America's second-ranking ace with 38 victories, all in P-38s. He discovered the secret through brutal experience. Don't dogfight with them, he instructed his squadron. Don't turn with Zeros at low altitude. Use your speed. Use your climb above 20,000 feet. Use your guns. The Lightning isn't a traditional fighter. It's an energy fighter with twice the range of anything else flying. The P-38's twin engines became weapons in skilled hands. In a dive, the Lightning could reach 450 miles per hour, faster than any Japanese fighter could achieve. This speed could be converted to altitude in a zoom climb. Pursuing fighters were left helplessly behind. Their single engines gasped in thin air while the supercharged Allisons maintained full power. The concentrated nose armament proved devastatingly effective. Major Richard Bong would become America's top ace with 40 victories, all in P-38s. He developed tactics that maximized this advantage. His approach became doctrine: climb high, dive fast, shoot accurately, zoom away. The Lightning kills on the first pass. During a mission over Wewak, New Guinea, in August 1943, Bong demonstrated the lethality of concentrated fire. His combat report described 4 Japanese fighters destroyed in 45 seconds. The nose-mounted weapons fired through a single point. They created killing efficiency that wing-mounted guns couldn't match. In the European theatre, the Lightning's turbocharged engines gave it performance advantages that shocked Luftwaffe pilots. The 1st and 14th Fighter Groups began operations from England in October 1943. They escorted bombers deep into Germany. Hauptmann Hans Philipp, one of Germany's leading aces with 206 victories, encountered P-38s on October 8, 1943, a bomber interception near Bremen. His tactical assessment, radioed to his staffel, reflected typical Luftwaffe thinking. The American twin-engine fighters are large and slow. Conventional tactics will suffice. Seconds later, Philipp was dead. P-38S diving from altitude reached 425 miles per hour before the German formation could react. The concentrated nose guns fired through a single point. They caught Philipp's Fokker-Wulf 190 in a burst that tore the aircraft apart. The loss of Philipp sent shockwaves through German fighter command. If a pilot with over 500 combat missions couldn't survive against the P-38s, what chance did average pilots have? German pilots began calling the P-38 Der Gabelschwanz-Teufel, the fork-tailed devil. The distinctive twin-boom silhouette became associated with sudden violent death from concentrated nose fire. Oberst Johannes Steinhoff survived the war with 176 victories. He described the psychological impact. The Lightning was different from other American fighters. You couldn't see its guns. They were hidden in the nose. When it fired, you didn't see muzzle flashes from the wings, you just saw your wingman explode. The concentration of fire was beyond anything we'd experienced. Our fighters spread their weapons across the wings, bullets went everywhere. The Lightning put everything through one point. If those guns touched you for even 1 second, you were finished. The nose armament configuration created tactical advantages that German pilots struggled to counter. The 20mm Hispano cannon fired explosive shells at 600 rounds per minute. The 4.50 caliber Brownings added 2,400 rounds per minute. All 5 weapons converged at approximately 300 yards. At convergence distance, the cone of fire was roughly 4 feet in diameter. Anything in that cone faced 50 projectiles per second, including explosive 20mm shells. German pilots who survived described their aircraft being sawed in half or exploding from within. The Mediterranean theatre became a proving ground for Lightning versatility. The 82nd Fighter Group, based at Foggia, Italy, conducted fighter, sweeps, bomber, escort, ground attack and reconnaissance, often on the same day. Major William Leverett achieved one of the war's most remarkable feats on October 9, 1943. Leading 3 P-38s, he encountered 9 Junkers Ju-88 bombers. 5 Messerschmitt Bf-109 fighters flew escort over Sicily. In a 12-minute engagement, Leverett destroyed 6 Ju-88s and 1 Bf-109. He became one of only 3 Americans to achieve 7 kills in a single mission. His ammunition expenditure, 175 rounds of 20mm and 421 rounds of .50 caliber. Less than half his total capacity. His combat report described the efficiency. The gun alignment in the P-38 allows no wasted ammunition. Point the nose, press the trigger, the target dies. Wing guns spray bullets everywhere. Nose guns put everything through one spot. As Allied air superiority became absolute in 1944, P-38s increasingly transitioned to ground attack. The Lightning's rugged construction and redundant systems made it ideal for low-altitude operations. The standard ground attack loadout included 2 1,000-pound bombs under the wings, plus full-nose ammunition. Later variants added rocket stubs for 10 5-inch high-velocity aircraft rockets, strike capability that rivaled dedicated attack aircraft. German ground forces learned to fear the distinctive sound of approaching Lightnings. The deep pulsing roar from twin engines grew louder with terrifying speed. Then the nose guns fired and vehicles exploded. The 474th Fighter Group operated from France after D-Day. They specialized in armed reconnaissance. During July and August 1944, P-38s claimed over 750 locomotives destroyed, nearly 5,000 trucks destroyed, over 1,300 railway cars destroyed. The Wehrmacht was forced to move only at night. By war's end, the statistics of P-38 operations defied conventional fighter wisdom. Lockheed produced 10,037 Lightnings. Each required 50,000 individual parts, 6 miles of electrical wiring, 2 precision engines. At peak production in 1944, 1 P-38 rolled off the line every hour. In combat, P-38s achieved kill ratios exceeding 5-to-1 in the Pacific. Major Richard Bong finished with 40 victories. Major Thomas Maguire scored 38. Colonel Charles MacDonald achieved 27, all exclusively in P-38s. The concentrated nose armament proved devastatingly effective. Analysis of gun camera footage showed that hits resulted in kills far more often than with wing-mounted weapons. Average firing time for a kill, 2.3 seconds. Each P-38L carried 500 rounds of 20mm ammunition, plus 500 rounds per .50 caliber gun, enough for nearly a minute of sustained fire. German and Japanese fighters, with limited cannon ammunition, had to make every shot count. Lightning pilots could engage multiple targets. By March 1945, Luftwaffe intelligence had compiled comprehensive assessments. The report on the P-38 showed complete reversal of opinion. August 1943, limited threat except at high altitude. March 1945, most versatile Allied fighter, engagement should be avoided. Focused defensive efforts on bombers. General Lieutenant Adolf Galland provided his assessment. The Lightning represents everything we failed to achieve. Range. It flies missions we couldn't imagine. Firepower. The nose armament solves problems that we never solved. Above all, it survives. The twin engines provide redundancy. But the aircraft isn't what defeated us, American industrial capacity defeated us. They built over 10,000 complex twin-engine fighters while fighting a global war. Each required 2 sophisticated engines, yet they produced them faster than we could produce simple fighters. The P-38 pilot arrives with 400 hours training. Our pilots have 100 if lucky. The Lightning carries enough ammunition for multiple engagements. Our fighters run dry after one pass. That's why we lost. The P-38 Lightning entered combat as an object of derision and ended the war as an instrument of annihilation. The concentrated nose armament, 120mm cannon and 4.50 caliber machine guns firing through a single point, rewrote the rules of aerial gunnery and proved that concentration of fire mattered more than caliber or number of weapons. German pilots had laughed at the ungainly twin-engine fighter in August 1943. By May 1945, those who survived spoke of it with fear and respect. The fork-tailed devil had spoken, and the sky belonged to America. The Lightning's greatest achievement wasn't just air superiority, it was the demonstration that American industrial capacity, innovative design, and concentrated firepower could overcome any tactical advantage. The twin-boom configuration that seemed so awkward proved revolutionary. The nose-mounted guns that seemed so unconventional proved devastatingly effective. The twin engines that seemed so vulnerable proved to be life-saving redundancy. In the end, the P-38 Lightning didn't just defeat the Luftwaffe and Japanese air forces, it redefined what a fighter could be. Long-range escort, high-altitude interceptor, ground attack platform, night fighter, and reconnaissance aircraft, all in one airframe. The fork-tailed devil proved that unconventional thinking, backed by industrial might and concentrated firepower, could change the course of history.